Alright, so we're throwing out a review for Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. I'm going to start off a little differently by giving the game a 3 out of 5. I'm going to break down why I did that. But as it sits, we'll go with the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that makes it easiest to do. The good for the game. Taking it back, old school. I love Space Sims. I grew up playing Heart of the Tiger, Privateer, Free Space 2, Tachyon the Fringe, Freelancer, Independence War, X Series, you name it. I've more or less hit them all. This game falls right in a line with any of them, to be fair. If you've played Freelancer, you've played the game, more or less. Graphics, alright. They're alright. They're nothing to throw a jaw-dropping expression at, but they suffice, of course. Combat is your classic dogfightery nonsense. They did add in an auto pursue feature. You hold your right mouse button, and your craft kind of does the flying for you to tail something. You're feeling lazy? It's a nice little feature, or if you're not good with your reflexes, also a nice little feature. Or you can go full old school and play it manually. No flight assist, no aim assist, which is also neat. But I didn't go with those options because playing those modes, you have to play in the cockpit view, which is fine, but you're missing out on all the space porn of seeing your ship. And I like my space porn, so it is what it is. I had to go with a lower setting, or I probably would have played it old school. Other than that, slight story involving Juno, who I believe is the mother of the person from the first Rebel Galaxy. It's been a long time since I've played that. Don't really remember too well. Didn't really get into it. And you go on a semi-nonsensical quest to avenge your dead husband who's not dead, and then your crazy mother shows up with a doom ship. Figure it out, play it for yourself. That's about all I'm going to say on the story. Another good thing that I would like to give them kudos on is the music. They do this GTA radio system where you can change the channel between like 7 different stations from jazz to dubstepery. So I did enjoy that pretty greatly. My space dubstep was much loved, and as was the comical GTA Stars system. Even though I found it annoying and utterly hated it, still comical, because anytime the police show up, they have space sirens, and I do have to give it up for that. Other than the nostalgia factor, things of that nature, we'll get into the bad. I'll be honest, it had a story. I didn't ever feel like I was really, truly connected with it. The world felt more alive, but I felt detached from it for some reason. And while it mimics the vein of other games that I've played in the past, it also feels a lot more shallow. Even though I spent as long as I did in the game, the shallowness factor feels like it's shallow. Like you can see it. Overall, there's only a handful of ships, like 4, that get alternating variants after you unlock your base and build it up a little bit. But they're all pretty much the same. Like no ship feels truly different in the way they fly. It's pretty much just cosmetics. On top of that, you'll not be using anything other than the autocannons or the tracers, because the energy demand from the energy weapons is made irrelevant by guns that reload over a 3-second period. Why waste your energy on energy weapons when you can just use projectile weapons that don't drain your energy, leaving you to be able to pump all of your power to shields or engines, and then more importantly, being able to dump all that reserve power constantly into your shields, nullifying most threats in the game outright. Like, you're damn near impossible to kill. while still being able to hammer things with your autocannons that don't require any energy. Last I checked, they were trying to balance it, but until they make energy weapons truly competitive, just stick with the autocannons, man. There's no point not to. They're too strong, too strong. The amount of time that I have heard doot 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 due to a damned distress signal cannot be counted. Luckily, they did add an ignore distress signal function into the game, but the interruptions while trying to get somewhere are still significant just from hostile craft and just craft that are not hostile. And it gets obnoxious to get to have to take a 2-jump job and end up having to autopilot 14 times to get there is annoying. I have to just say that gets tedious. So that needs to be addressed or looked at or something, because it was blech to deal with the nonstop dropouts of travel, only to try to race by it just so I can mash the E button again. But other than that, if you're looking for a sandbox sim game to waste your time on, do it. It is what it is. Like I said, you grew up in that era of space sims, you'll enjoy it. The ugly parts, however, need addressed hard. Anytime a ship comes into the area you're in, you get a lag spike. Anytime a cruiser is chucking out flak, you get a lag spike. Anytime explosions of large proportions are happening, you get a lag spike. It's not detrimental to the game, but it is obnoxious to see happening when you're trying to dogfight. And the key controls, all of them being mapped to a similar button, kind of gets annoying. Like, your tractor function is mapped to your autopilot function, so oftentimes you'll be trying to autopilot and picking up space garbage, or other times you'll be trying to pick up garbage and autopilot away. So that could have used a little bit more polish there as well. And unfortunately, they're linked in the game to do the same function across multiple commands, so you can't split them just by going to your keybinds. It's kind of obnoxious, not gonna lie. I didn't run into many other bugs than that. I had one crash the entire time playing it, so it is a pretty stable game. However, it does need optimized pretty significantly. That's really about it for the game. It's not bad for, I think it's $30. $30 title. You just spend about, I think I spent 20 hours in it. So it's a good chunk of time for not a good chunk of money, which makes it fair. The hollowness to the game, lack of depth, and the optimization issues that I ran into are really what drug it down for me. So that's why I gave it a 3 instead of a 4. I was teetering on which way to go. But overall, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Not the worst game I've ever played for a space game, but also not the best. And that will be the review of Rebel Galaxy Outlaw. Just a quick review, keep it simple, hit the major points, and let you know what you're getting into if you do decide to get it. If you enjoy space sims, pick it up. If you don't have any investment in space or space sims, skip it.